You know, um, 300 years ago, our forefathers did one invention, and that invention would change the world. It is the invention around energy, burning coal and creating steam engine. That was the first major invention in the energy world that went on to create multitude of transformations starting from industrial revolution 1, 2 and forward. From steam engine to electricity to internal combustion engines, mankind kept on burning fuel, burning fossil fuel, and created energy, fueled the world of prosperity. So today, if we look back, carbon footprint pretty much reflects the prosperity that mankind has made in last 300 plus years. However, today in next 20 minutes as we are here, we have come to a stage that the number around carbon footprint that we make has become a big problem for us. In next 20 minutes, world would be adding 1.4 million metric tons of CO2. Almost 900 people will be at the threat of getting displaced. And every 10 minutes, one unique life form is getting erased. That's the kind of problem we are dealing with. Now we have a choice. The choice is natural means plant more trees. Feasible? Answer is no. Just to compensate for this 20 minutes of carbon addition, you will need 56 million trees, which needs 36,000 hectares. And all of us know in last 300 years, the number of trees in the world has actually depleted by about 46%. So that solution is not there for us. What is in front of us as the player of this progress, the part of the technology community, part of the industry forum, we have a controllable situation that if we impact the energy reduction, the consumption of energy, if we can reduce in an industrial environment, we can control that. And that translates to just 0.006% of the annual energy consumption in the world. Now, the world has made a lot of progress in this. Obviously, a lot of regulations, all of us know. Proliferating regulations, US, Europe, and every other countries, from GRI to California law and CSRD, CSRF, and so on and so forth. At the same time, almost 50% of global 2000 companies have already announced their commitment to reduce carbon footprint. They have declared their net zero goals. And pretty much 1/3 of the combined GDP of the world, those companies have come together to declare their carbon footprint and take actions to reduce that. But there are a lot of challenges. If you imagine, if there is a company in the middle of the value chain, it has its own customers, it has its own suppliers. Now you talk about the regulations in different countries, you talk about the compliance to the OEM's requirement, then you are responsible for also the scope 3, which is your suppliers' emissions. So you are in a mix as to how to tackle these issues with thousands of data points, hundreds of requirements, and different mandates by different bodies as well as your own customers. The second big challenge is when it comes to supplier data, the integration, the data management becomes a humongous task. And companies almost perceive it as an added burden to comply. And last but not the least is there is no linkage, no direct linkage in a short-term, medium-term basis, how much compliance initiative translates to your ROI, to your bottom line, to your top line impact. So you would have seen that, people announcing net zero goal by 2050, 2040, 2030. What is this year? What is in 3 years? That's how companies' performance is measured in the street. So how do we tackle this? we have to change the narrative. Compliance only option is not an option. If companies focus on going after compliance just because there is a reporting mandate and we go and identify whatever we have consumed, what is the carbon footprint, collect the data and report, that's not where the value is created. We should be asking, can we reduce the operational cost by 5% when I'm implementing a sustainability initiative? When you think about products, can my product footprint, can I redesign my products in a way that will have more acceptance in the market, boosting my top line? Also, I can reduce the life cycle cost of maintaining that product. Similarly, when we talk about IT, all of us know that technology is a big consumer of the energy, and when we are talking about AI and machine learning and large language models, it is going to exponentially rise. So the point is, can we go for sustainable IT, reducing our IT cost by 30%? If we change the narrative, the adoption is going to be much faster and companies will see the benefit of getting into the sustainability initiative. And you see, obviously these are not just a point of view by a group of people, but several analysts and research players actually highlight that sustainability can go hand in hand with competitive advantage. So the question is, how do we go from compliance to competitive advantage? If we change that narrative, sustainability initiatives pays for itself. In fact, companies will go and embrace sustainability to create the sustainable advantage for future, the competitive advantage for future. Now, how do we do it? Case in example, HCLTech's Net Zero Intelligent Operations is a product, a platform that if you deploy in any scenario, be it in the manufacturing sector, be it your buildings, facilities, or even your data center, it not only just gathers the information to report to the complying regulating bodies. What it does, in real time, it gives you the insights. It tracks, measures, monitors, compares, normalizes, and then give you a view as to where the hot buttons are, what action has to be taken. So we are talking about asset-to-asset comparison, line-to-line comparison, plant-to-plant comparison, facility-to-facility comparison, and these are not just absolute comparison, these are normalized comparison. For example, a plant in Mexico versus a plant in US and a plant in China. The same asset, same operation, similar output. It normalizes all these factors along with the climate data and so on and so forth to give you the hot buttons as to what needs to be done. So here you are actually predicting. You can build your KPPs. You can actually plan in 3 months down the line, how much should be my carbon footprint, what should be my target, where are the hot buttons, what action needs to be taken. It's an AI-enabled, digital twin-based IoT solution which has got 3 awards in last 12 months, including IoT Product of the Year, including Sustainability Product of the Year, and also this, getting award in the NASSCOM innovation on this front. Now, again, we go back to the business impact, because again, this is not to help you just report, because any platform, even you can do some Excel reporting, manual thing, or any simple platform can help you in reporting. But what it helps is in reducing your energy cost, making your operations more agile, preventing the failures. For example, if machines are actually consuming more energy, it is a sign that bad quality is going to be produced, because probably there is more vibration, maybe the oil temperature is going up. There are assignable reasons. It actually helps the sustainability initiatives in many ways while giving you the benefit of cost reduction in the operations. Now, when you talk about product, obviously, at the end of the day, what we consume is product and services. Now, product, if we are planning to make it sustainable, because more than 90% of the products in the world today are discarded within 6 months, staggering number. Very less recyclability and reclaimability. It is not designed for sustainability. So HCLTech's My PCM, which is the My Product Carbon Monitor platform, helps in bringing all these data points together. When you actually design a new product, how you make it more sustainable. It combines the data points of the material database of all available substitutes and how they actually come together, and the associated machining and different types of manufacturing processes, the energy consumption associated with that for the unit production, and also the variability in different scenarios. You can sequence the processes, you can readjust the processes, you can change in the simulator what product, what substitute material has to be picked, what are the alternatives available, what are the baseline for this, and it also gives you not just the sustainability quotient, it actually gives you the cost saving. If you do this, the cost will go up, go down. So you can actually trade off and unbalance when you are taking the decision on engineering. Now, green IT that we talked about, it can come in many forms. Your data center, your digital workplace where the end user computing and all the assets that you use. It could be also in the network. Like in many cases in the industrial network, pretty much it is just lying out there and waiting to be pinged when you are actually not operating and it's consuming energy. And the last but not the least is the applications and the platforms that we develop, the algorithms that we build. Are we actually designing based on the sustainability principles? So one classic example, when it comes to data center, we, using our Green IT data center framework, we just transformed this organization, a multinational organization, more than 13 billion in revenue, to 25,000 plus servers, 70,000 plus users, 5,000 plus network devices, and almost 3,000 plus database components. 70 plus what they used to call as data rooms got consolidated into 13 data centers. And guess what? Those 13 data centers adopted the principle of virtualization and optimized usage, optimized computing, storage, as well as the green procurement principle. Procuring the assets that are actually compliant and reduces the energy consumption. And more importantly, also we did the energy transition for them, getting into the 100% renewable source, close to 100%, impacting almost 98% of their carbon footprint reduction. So that's the power when you take a sustainable approach with a cost saving in mind, and which, by the way, in this case, the company will be saving almost 30% on the cost, on the operational cost. Now, when it comes to sustainable finance, this is a different scope, very different, because the investment bankers and the banking and financial companies, when they finance projects, they're accountable for the downstream projects and the carbon footprint it creates. HCLTech's SF360, which is Sustainable Finance 360, is a platform which actually brings all these data points together. It helps you manage the current footprint of your existing portfolio based on the investments you have made, based on the projects that are running, based on the customers you are supporting. What is at any point of time, what is your carbon footprint of the existing stage? So that is essentially helping you to know where you stand, and because there are guidelines and thresholds for subsequent financing, you can intelligently create the portfolio. But more importantly, that portfolio that you are planning to do, how do you actually de-risk those portfolios? Because sustainability for this organization also comes with an associated risk. If it doesn't comply, you have the risk of certain projects actually getting shut down. And that's the risk to the financier. So if you combine all these things, it is a powerful tool that helps in putting all the parameters together and helping you create that portfolio, combining your existing and plan for the future. Combine that with the financial attributes of the risk. So you have now the sustainability risk and the financial risk parameters coming together to help you create your portfolio, which will be more resilient, more powerful, and also adding to your top line and bottom line. Now, when we talk all this together, essentially when we look at industries, there are only 4 dimensions on which sustainability has a play. Sustainable operations that we talked about with the example of net zero intelligent operations, sustainable products, sustainable IT, and sustainable finance. Our entire approach is how do we bring this together in different contexts, different requirements to help our customers navigate the journey of this complex sustainability equation, and it is no more a cost burden, it is actually becomes the source of competitive advantage. And by the way, the compliance reporting as per scope 1, 2, 3, whether GRI, whether CSRD and stuff is given. That is given, that is, all our, the output of these tools comply to all these requirements by default, and it manages all the data points, gets all this together and actually formats the report with respect to whatever is the norm in the country and whatever compliance requirements are there. Now
The vision of a sustainable future begins with a promise.
Let's have a look at it.
To improve the way we consume and produce energy. A promise to balance the changing needs of our society with the needs of our planet. And a promise to innovate for good forever. Net Zero Intelligent Operations, or NEO, embodies this promise by giving organizations the power to transfer from their vision of a sustainable energy future into reality. NEO collects and analyzes energy data across the enterprise in real time so that clients can monitor, assess, and reduce energy consumption and carbon emissions at scale. With a unique interoperability and normalization approach, NEO communicates with all IT systems, OT systems, and smart assets to give organizations a unified view of their energy usage. And by leveraging digital twin technology and artificial intelligence, NEO can pinpoint gaps and opportunities with greater precision, dramatically reducing the time and effort it takes to optimize energy consumption. For organizations on an energy transition journey, NEO offers the clarity, confidence, and control they need to meet their sustainability goals and to keep their promise of a brighter future.
So we had a choice to make. Can we do it? Can we reduce the energy consumption? That automatically anyways reduces the carbon footprint. Of course, energy transition is a solution, but that is far ahead because today less than 30% of the energy consumed in the world is actually from renewable sources. The path to go to 100% will take years, but probably humanity doesn't have that much of time. As you would have noticed that I think last week, the world average temperature actually crossed the threshold set by Paris Agreement, that 2 degrees centigrade. Momentarily, it actually for that particular day, it already crossed. Obviously, it didn't have that impact because it is just for a particular day. We are talking about on an average consistently temperature being maintained at that way. But if we take conscious decision and not kick the can down the road that okay 2050 something miracle will happen, 2030 something miracle will happen, we should look at its sustainability as a source for next generation competitive advantage. It is a source for reducing your cost. It is a source for improving your top line through sustainable products. And if we do that, then sustainability initiatives is no more a compliance game. It becomes a game for building your next generation competitive advantage. Thank you.